So now let's go to the following one, the customer performance. So this one we want to see what our customers buying, how are they performing, who is our best buyer, who is our worst buyer, and what kind of managerial decisions are we going to do with that. So in this case, I'm going to do in the rows field the customer and the category. So customer and category. So this one, first of all, I go to my raw data, I go insert, and I'm going to do another pivot table. Same thing, table one, then new worksheet, and then we have it. So I am doing customer name, and category, right? This is a problem. When you guys are not around, you don't tell me what I'm doing. So, but I have to look for myself. So in this case, customer and category. And then on the values, we're going to put the sum of revenue and sum of quantity. So in this case, I'm going to put the sum of revenue and sum of quantity. Okay. So now in this case, we see everything, and then you see that it gives us now company A, company AA, what they purchase, and the quantities. Now, if I try to read it this way, it's a bit complex. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to right click, and then I'm just going to put, make collapse it, expand collapse everything. Right, there was collapse entire field. Sorry. Okay, collapse entire field. So this is what I'm going to do. Remember, in this one, on the sum of revenue, I am going to do in the sum of revenue, what I'm going to do is just change the values for currency. Okay, very good. So in this one, the same thing. What I want to know is who has sorted from largest to smallest. So company D is my best performer. Company AA is one of my worst performers. In this case, it doesn't mean that they have the highest value. Goes correlated together also with how much they sold, how many items they bought. So if, for example, company G doesn't buy that much from us, but has a good yield. So in this case, we have to think of that. We have to think of which company perhaps is a good seller because they buy a lot, but they have buying higher value. So we have to think of that, and in this case, we have to see who are your worst customers and why. What are the items they consume? Is it about the products they buy or the quantities they buy? So let's try to explain how our behavior is working in here. So in this case, what I could do is maximize this one. Let's look at company CC and AA, which are the worst performers. So in this case, what we can see is that, for example, these guys, they only buy beverages and only dried fruit and nuts. They buy a lot, but in the end, it's very cheap. So here I have to think of these guys that they are just occasionally, well, they are buying just cheap things from me. So I have to think of that strategy that perhaps move them as, like, for example, company D spends a lot in the dried fruits and nuts. Also, what I can do here is I can sort it by, I also can sort it by the, I can sort it by, sorry, this one I can sort it from largest to smallest, and then also gives me the thing that they buy the most is the beverages. The thing that they buy is the fruit and vegetables. Here, what they buy the most is the dried fruit and nuts. So definitely it's not the dried fruits and nuts. It depends which ones they are buying. So here I have to do a very comprehensive analysis and do a big comparison. Perhaps I may need to go to directly into this data and try to understand it better. So in this case, maybe I have to look into what they are buying, how they are doing it, and etc. Okay, so anyways, I'm gonna delete this one. Sorry, not this one. I'm not gonna delete it because it's what I'm working with. Sorry, no, this one we have to do already. The customer performance. This is the customer performance. We have to rename it. I just was too excited and I didn't do what I have to do all the time. So in this case, I also pass it to the last part, customer performance. I have it in there. And then for the last part, it says add a bar chart. We have to add a bar chart. Okay, so this one I can say insert. Sorry, I have to select everything. Okay, very good. So in this case, this is what I can do, right? So this is what I can do. Then I have everything, and that's already finished. Okay, so we have customer performance, and then already how it's affecting their sales. Like I said, we're gonna look independently to each ones of the lower ones and see here, for example, already we can see that the number of the things that they buy is much lower than any others, but also company G has 64. So perhaps 60 company G buys less, but what they buy is more expensive. Okay, so we have to deal with these two companies because in the end they are not performing the way that we want. Okay, and so we will do an analysis of that.